Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Boxer, the technical trader at TechTrader.com. It's Tuesday, August the 30th. Turnaround Tuesday as the markets came down. These are the charts of the day, and let's take a look at some of the winners. There was a sloppy day on Wall Street. Let's take a look at it. This is the chart of the S&P 500, and you can see the double top and a kind of a downtrend beginning as some of these trend lines have been taken out. But the longer term picture still looks like a massive uptrend with a 1, 2, 3, 4. Still a possibility we're seeing one more big wave to the upside, especially if they squeeze this somewhere up in that zone near 2200 or better, 2225, 2210. In any case, until I see this resolved, I can't really tell where we're at, but it does look like pretty sloppy, choppy action in here. That's your S&P 500, and a quick look at the NASDAQ 100. And you'll see double top, broke down below key support, got secondary support, bounced, got secondary support, and tried to bounce. The key number for me is 4760. If we break that, we fill the gap of 10 points, and then we're in trouble. So we'll just have to see what we get at this point, but it's a little dicey up here. Now, a quick look at the charts of the day. AMID, don't talk about this one too often. Looking at the long-term chart, you'll see it got whacked all the way from 32 down to about 4. And then recovered after forming a wedge kind of coiling base pattern and moved up sharply in April with most oil stocks. Been consolidating for several months, but today was a big day for it as it popped $1.08% on 3.1 million. It's pretty big volume for that stock. Second biggest I've ever, actually the biggest day I've ever seen on an up day with almost a vertical OBV going straight up. So a lot of buyers on that today. And it did take out resistance across this line, but has some work to do by taking out 14. If we get that, looking for 16, and then perhaps even up in the high teens to low 20s eventually. BSFT had a big day, a nice day. It took out a little bit of resistance here and maybe headed for a test of the all-time highs at 47.5. That's my near-term target, and that may happen tomorrow. And then we have the top of the channel up around 48.5, 49. Ultimately, mid-50s may be doable, or even something much higher than that. For now, though, you can see the rising channel, increasing OBV and increasing volume as well. 6.37 days to cover. CETX looking very similar to VUSI. They both have moved up, pulled back and falling wedges. This one popped, so did VUSI. VUSI pulled back. This one extended a little bit today, up another 30 cents or 6%. Volume was 380,000, not big, but we need to see if it can get through resistance coming in around 5 3/4. We do that, we should test a spike high at 660-ish. I'm looking for eventually 8.5, 9. Well, CWEI is the swing trade that keeps giving. After a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a big fifth wave, I've decided to exit or give you a sell at 69.70. It got up to 69.13 and then pulled back for a week and a half to consolidate. But boy, is it holding. And today up another 373 or almost 6%. A volume increasing. This stock looks like it may go to the top of the channel. And if it does, I wouldn't be shocked to see this get to mid-70s. CY had some takeover rumors today. It popped. You can see the big volume surge, 23 million as it breaks out of the wedge. A good sign, but it couldn't get through the spike high reversal day at 1236, reaching 1224. If we're backing off, we can get to that 1225, 35 range. I'm looking at 14.5 with 5.34 days to cover. Well, the gold stocks and commodity and ETFs really got whacked. The dust has moved smartly or sharply in the last couple of weeks from 2280 to today's high at 41 and change, nearly doubling. Now, just in the last 3 days, it's gone from 30 to 41. So with big volume of 18.7 million, an all-time record, and a move across the declining top line, trend line, and lateral price resistance, I'm looking for a test of the gap from back in early and late June at 46. That's my next target. Now, just to keep that in perspective, even though that's broken out, the JNUG hasn't quite done so. JDST, excuse me. You can see how it popped out of the wedge and across the 50, but hasn't gotten through the resistance at 35.80. That may happen tomorrow, but that's your near-term target. And if it does gap like the other one did, maybe we can reach all the way up to 41.5, but that'll take some doing. Nevertheless, potential's there for a big move on JDST and the dust. But the nugget is another story. Obviously, a big smash has taken us in half, literally, folks, from 35.70, let's call it 36 to today's low near 18. 18.17 to be exact. That stock's been cut in half in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So at this point, having broken support there, and the trend line, and then gotten down to that near the gap or into that gap, one of two things happens here. It either drops to 17.5 or even as low as 16 and fills that gap before running. But I prefer to believe that it may very well reverse in this zone and at least do a retest back up near, let's just say 23.5, 24, something like that is potential. And we'll see what happens beyond that. But for now, I wanted to point out the severity of the drop and how it's broken everything after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves within a fifth. I'm not surprised we got the pullback. A little surprised how steep it was. KPTI, the biotech Cardio Farm, whatever you want to call it, declining tops line taken out there, connecting all these tops, closing slightly above it. Not quite above here, though. This is a resistance around 10.30.45 range. If we can get up through that tomorrow, we may very well get this to move up near 13, my next target. And with 16 days to cover, that wouldn't shock me at all. Let me draw that line in for you. That's what it looks like. Base, maybe a breakout today. Massive volume for this stock, 3.5 million shares. LMAT swing trade, looking good. Breakaway gap, beautiful flag. Held the prior highs. I think has been up for 3 days in a row. Looking for 21 and then high 20s beyond that, 28. PetroQuest, well, this stock has a spike in the last 3 days on big volume. Today traded 1.6 million, up 36.5%. And the declining tops line was taken out, it appears. The next target would be a run up towards the 3.75 range. We may get that as early as tomorrow. That'll be key resistance. If we get through that, we're looking at a stock in the 6 range. RIGL Pharmaceuticals, with some big drug news today, exploded for 49% on 55 million. Unheard of volume. Never traded anywhere near that before. And more than that, it closed in the upper end of the range, which I find very, very positive. Despite the fact it came off the 406 high, it finished at 393, just 13 cents off that high. And that's really good performance. Would not be surprised to see more upside tomorrow that gets us upwards of like 440. And then I'm looking at 5. That's RIGL. SYRS broke out. This is a fairly new IPO. It popped early on and then it dropped all the way back from the low 20s to the single digits around 8. It's nearly double since then. But today was a breakaway through an inverse head and shoulder as it popped sharply to 15.56. Unfortunately, it closed more than 220 off the high. At one point up nearly 4. It closed up $1.85 or 16%. So a bit of a disappointment. But what I'll be watching on this one is can the breakout point around 13 hold on the pullback. Another good day for Taser. Taser breaking out of a wedge, very similar to what GIMO looks like. It popped today on increasing volume. And what I'd look for on Taser is can I get through 30.15 because it does. 32 and 34 are your next targets. TERP swing trade is moving. It's up 4 days in a row, up another 38 cents or 3% today. What I want to see is can this one take out 13.5? My next targets are 17 and 20. And lastly, United Airlines with a big day today on earnings. After the V bottom, double bottom here, and the right-hand extended V type of pattern, a new uptrend may be in place as the wedge broke out with a breakaway gap on volume of 12.9 million, the best volume on an up day going all the way back to September of last year. So maybe this can trigger some movement. I want to see the major declining tops line in the 54.5 range tested, and then we got a target up near 59.60. And folks, that's it for this evening. You guys have a good one.